liberal in almost every respect, except that, unlike most American liberals, I believe in the Second Amendment. So, let's talk about, and my background is that I'm a South African. I'm actually a refugee from the apartheid government under South Africa, and that was how I acquired an understanding of the value of being able to defend myself. So, let's go with the presentation. I was born in South Africa of parents who were South Africans. On the shortest path, I have one grandparent who was not born in South Africa. So we were South Africans. After the Second World War, an extreme right-wing government took over in South Africa. And just like Hitler came to power by being elected to power, these people actually got elected to power, but some of them had actually been supporters of Hitler during the Second World War. They were that right-wing. They put in place, among other things, a policy that the rest of the world, actually that they called, and the rest of the world came to know as apartheid. Apartheid said that if you had anything other than a pure lily white skin, you were not entitled, for example, to go anywhere that was designated as a white area. And they designated parts of South Africa that were desert as black areas, and they designated the parts where anybody actually wanted to be as white areas. A black person was not entitled to an education past about grade 4. That has implications for South Africa today, because we have a whole generation of people who never got an education. Those people are now aging out of that population, but those people have no earning capacity because they have no education. They literally were grade 6 educations. That government implemented policies of control of the majority black population that essentially involved the police being gunmen and not policemen. The idea of an American policeman who thinks his role is to serve just didn't apply. American policemen are actually not very good with their firearms. I don't know if you know that. They're not very good marksmen. The reason is, in my opinion, the reason is they don't care about the firearms. They are police officers. South African police officers were very good with their firearms. They thought their role was to kill people, not to police. I will give you one anecdote. My mother and I were sitting on our front veranda one day doing my homework. A man came to the front gate and asked for a drink of water. My mother got up, went inside, got him a drink of water, came out. While she was inside, he collapsed. She took one look at him and she dialed the equivalent of 911. The ambulance arrived, took one look at him and said, "We're not taking him, he's black." And he died on our front lawn. I was 12. We got involved in fighting that regime. We didn't actually go to war in the sense of trying to throw bombs or shooting anybody. The way we got involved is that we got involved in a group that was trying to smuggle political dissidents out of the country so they could survive. If you were a political dissident in South Africa at that time, getting into prison was a death sentence. We smuggled one guy out, and then we got to smuggle the second one out, and we got sort of almost caught. We ended up in a chase. This is a chase through the desert with a police Land Rover behind us, and we were about to get caught. I mean, this was going to be real trouble. My father said, "Get the rifle out of the trunk." We were in a Land Rover, effectively an SUV. I leant over the back seat, pulled the rifle out, and he said, "I'm going to stop. When I stop, take one shot, put it through the radiator, and I'm taking off as soon as the shot's gone." I shot the radiator, and we took off, and we got away.
Oh my God.
South Africans at the time were debating a bill in Parliament that was officially called the Suppression of Communism Act. The bill became known in the rest of the world as the 90-day detention law. What it said, among all of its provisions, and it was a large act, was that if they decided they didn't like you, they could put you in jail for 90 days. No trial, no habeas corpus, no procedures, nothing. It took the signature of a police sergeant or above. That's what the act said. Police sergeant in South Africa at that time, the recruiting and promotions regulations in the South African police force were that a police sergeant did not actually have a requirement to be able to read and write. Some of those signatures were literally crosses. That was the entire procedure for putting you in jail for 90 days. The way the act became implemented was they would put somebody in jail for 90 days, let him out, meet him at the door to the jail, process him back in that night and have another 90 days. They got lazy. They decided that was too much work. They amended the act to make it the 180-day detention law, and then they amended it again to make it the 270-day detention law. While that bill was being debated, we, as a result of our adventure out in the desert, had a police officer stationed sitting on our garden wall, and we realized that it was going to be a lot cheaper for them to put us in jail as soon as that act was passed, so we got out. And I believe the Second Amendment.
Amen.